Okay, everybody, welcome to our, what month are we in? June?
Yeah.
Our June Crowfall Live. And this is the live stream where we typically like to show everybody something that we've been working on, something that's coming out somewhat soon, behind the scenes stuff, how it works in our editor. And then we give you some opportunity for Q&A as we're going. Today, we've got Melissa on, and she is our art director, for those of you who don't know. And she's going to show us some of the new lighting stuff that we've done for the 5.7 update. You'll notice over time we've been kind of improving the look just a little bit every publish. But 5.7 we had a lot of big breakthroughs. We had the day-night cycle come online.
Yep.
And then there was this mysterious shader project that I heard about for the longest time that I think got some legs. And I have no clue what EnviroSky even is either. So you can...
We've had EnviroSky for a little while, but there are some things that got added for us to... What?
To hide, so your head's perfectly in front of the day-night thing. Yeah. So just make them smaller. I'm just going to move my other side.
Okay. So basically, one of the challenges that we've always had with our world is that it's fully dynamic. The parcels can be rotated and moved around. You know, all of the items in the world are dynamically spawned. Players can place buildings and objects, and everything is dynamic. Nothing is static in this world. So,
and what did that cost us?
Well, it cost us everything. What it cost us was really pretty baked lighting, which is what you're used to seeing in a lot of the AAA games, where they're able to control all of the light sources and bake it all down, and bake in really nice bounce lighting. And so we don't have any of that. We have to have fully dynamic lighting, and at the same time, we are limited to the number of directional lights that we can even have in a scene, just due to the number of passes that it will cause, and that will really, kill performance. So we're always trying to balance something that looks good with making sure that it doesn't just kill our performance.
And you totally went over the deep end on terms and phrases that a lot of people may or may not know.
Okay.
Like baking and passes. And,
oh yeah.
I mean, everyone else, like we may realize what that is, but...
So baking lighting, essentially, you set lights up in an environment, and it computes it based on all the things that are in the scene, and will take all of that information and will calculate bounce lighting based on the color of those objects and the intensity of the light in the scene. But that's not something that can happen really in a dynamic setting like this. It all has to happen ahead of time. If we knew what our maps were going to look like ahead of time, we could do that. But because our maps are fully dynamic and they're changing all the time, we can't. So one of the things we have to do is sort of fake kind of a bounce lighting. We didn't really have that, and we don't really have it still. What we do have is this global reflection probe that got added in for us. What that does is it takes a lot of the sky. You might not be able to actually see it at nighttime so much, so I will show it to you in a minute when it gets daytime. What it does is it calculates, basically, it takes a cube map, so it looks at the ground plane and the sky, and it generates sort of a reflection object type thing that basically passes all of that lighting information back into the player and into the environment, into their diffuse and their specular. Sorry.
Those phrases. Phrasing. We can do the Archer phrasing every time you use one of those big words.
Good, you could just stop me.
I think if we could show people a lot of this stuff.
All right. Yeah, right, instead of just running in circles and talking.
Yeah, and if you have sliders and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, driving and talking is not one of my strongest.
Okay.
All right, so here's what I'll do.
Let's just focus on the talking and the editor.
All right, so let me turn on simulation.
Look at all those sliders. So all of those green things mean something, and all of those colors mean something.
Yeah, so this is a plugin called EnviroSky. It gives us all these knobs to tune. So there's a whole lighting tab that gives me my light color. So the way this gradient works is this is midnight and this is noon right here, and then it goes back along the spectrum. So midnight to noon and then back to midnight. So I have control over the light color over the course of the day. And then this is the intensity, the same thing, midnight to noon and then back. You'll see this is the sun intensity, and this is the moon intensity. So you can see there's an overlap period of time where one takes over. Because we only have one directional light, there is a period of time right about here where the lighting color and the intensity from both curves and the color blends together. And we have a little trick.
Look at
where
that.
you can see this is the shadow intensity. We fall the shadow off right here down to 0 when that directional light actually switches positions. Otherwise, what you would see is this crazy, all of a sudden your shadows just change position entirely from one direction to the other, and it's very disorienting. We didn't have that on or down before, and people said it just felt like a flock of birds like flying over their head or something. Like, what is that? So let me switch this so that it cycles a little bit faster. So this is it simulating. So you have a lot of control in this. A lot of the things that we probably were more stylized game, and we're not trying to reflect a realistic environment, but I can change, the year, the accurate year, the date.
What is that going back and forth right there?
Latitude and longitude. This is
it's just timer?
This is just timing. Yeah, so this is just simulating through time of
We
day.
have a really giant monitor here.
And you can't see it.
And then I'm looking at, she's got her laptop, and I've got my laptop. Last time we came in here, Gibson had given us this little 5-inch monitor that we basically, and then we said, hey, could you get us a bigger monitor? And he decided to get this, what is this thing? 50 inches?
The one you pointed out to me this morning?
Thanks, Gibson. So we have, this very giant monitor here.
So we've got latitude and longitude controls and seasonal controls. We're kind of doing our own thing relative to all of this stuff, so I'm not really using a lot of the dates. I am using latitude and longitude just to kind of get a sun position that isn't directly over top, because over top of your head lighting just creates bad shadowing. So what I did was just change the day length in minutes and the night length so that it would cycle a little bit faster so we could see some of this stuff actually changing.
Okay.
So actually, as of about 30 minutes ago, I just got a change from one of the engineers to how the grass shader, the what shade of the grass was using. So previously it was completely toxic.
The sparklies, but I don't see a node. Oh, look, the sun's coming up.
Yeah, so this is it cycling through, and you can see, so the lighting color is coming in early morning. I've pushed a little fog color back in there just to play around with. Sorry, I'm bouncing around a lot. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm pushing a little fog color kind of in the background just to give it a little bit more stylization rather than realism. What I would like to do is probably pull in, why is Jack laughing, some of the...
Is somebody making comments?
Dave said less Blair singing.
I wasn't singing.
You did sing when the sun came up.
Oh. It was going to do the Circle of Life. We could have done little Elton John there. Hold up the little lion. Oh, look at that.
Would Jack be the lion? The baby cub?
Please don't pick me up.
So you can see my fog distance right here is set to 0. What I would like to do is actually have that fog kind of start in a little bit sooner than that.
What's also fascinating to me is any one of those knobs could totally make everything look terrible.
Well, and so that's the thing. There's probably too much control. So I spent a few days actually just saying, what does this do? What does this do? The documentation is actually pretty limited. And honestly, I don't,
Why would they make a thing with no documentation?
It has a little bit, but it doesn't really say, if you change these colors in the wavelength, this is the end result. So I just had to kind of play with all these different numbers just to see what they do. So there are scattering curves and scattering colors and light colors and fog colors and all these things. And it's not just as straightforward as just saying, this is my sky color and this is my fog color.
Okay.
All of these things do play together and push and pull each other. So some of it is a little trial and error, like why is my character green? So I had some very green scattering color right here earlier because I was trying to get some fog color, but it was affecting the character quite a bit. But that was also tied to the fact that my global reflection shader right here was not set correctly. It was set to nothing before, which ended up doing that number to my character, pushed a little bit too much color into the objects in the character, so it really should be set to everything. And that will more accurately represent the ground plane in the skybox. So you can see it cycling through day and night. My character is, I feel like he's a little bit dark still overall. So I was talking to Jason this morning actually about possibly taking the ambient lighting and just bouncing it up so that the character maybe will pop a bit more without having it affect the environment. So that's something we might look into next, because he just doesn't pop away from the environment as much. It's maybe more realistic to have him blend with the environment like this with the lighting, but in a game you want your character to pop a bit more. So
it's definitely a lot of appreciation for how many knobs you have to Twitter to make it look good.
Yeah. There's also a whole layer of post-processing that we haven't actually even started tweaking. So we have a baseline setting of just anti-aliasing, a tiny bit of bloom, and AO.
Right there. It looks like, is that on those trees?
It looks like they're missing.
Is that on the trees, or is that on the...
Those are on the trees. Yeah, so those are the resource nodes. So one of the things I wanted to play with too is how dark do we want our darkest to get? I know everybody's going to play with their gamma and jack that up so they can see whatever they want to see anyways, but the baseline kind of look and feel that we want to try and get, now that we have like all of these little sparklies and hunger that's going to spawn in the environment and these resource nodes that have lights on them, the hunger creatures at nighttime, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up to date with our updates.
Everyone is saying dark.
Dark.
No, you want it dark?
They want it dark.
Yeah, it looks cool dark. With the light that we have, in other... So previously, before we had all this stuff, we pushed it a little bit dark, but then there were no other light sources in the environment. Now that we're getting more light sources in the environment, I think that could actually be really cool.
It's always irritating that when you play MMOs, they typically love to do this, which is they have, hey, we've got day-night, let's make night pitch black. And you log into a game and they wash you up on a beach somewhere in the middle of the night, and you can't... Your first impression of the game is, wow, everything is dark, everything is just terrible looking, and it does disservice to all of the work that was done on the environment.
Yeah.
What are you looking at, Gibbs?
I feel like it's... Can you see it? Tell me if that's a lot brighter. The actual picture.
Here, Melissa, this is what it looks like.
Elgato always kind of throws things off.
It does.
See how
it's bumping
what's cycling?
It looks like it's brighter.
It's a little brighter. Well, that's the other thing, too. We're always testing against different monitors. So I have a big monitor, 4K monitor, and I've got my laptop. My 4K monitor has actually been calibrated, and the laptop isn't. So I'm always going back and forth, because everyone has different monitors. So I walk around the office, and I go, well, why does it look like that on your screen? It looks fine on my screen. So it's always this balancing act of trying to get it look as good as we can across as many machines as possible. I kind of like it this dark. Again, I feel like if the character was just bounced.
Let me see what it looks like for them. So you guys are seeing this play from a laptop through an Elgato, which is doing its own color adjustments to...
See, this is bumped up 15, because normally when you guys do it, it's really dark.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to bump this. I'm going to put these all...
Uh-oh, Gibson is making some changes.
So lighting on top of lighting.
Yeah, lighting on top of lighting. So he's doing some post-processing after...
Should never be done. You're crossing the streams, man.
Is there any questions about how any of these switches work, or any of the lighting, or any of the art stuff? Because we have Melissa here, and we don't have her there often.
I saw a couple.
So I'm definitely still playing with all this
Would it be possible for different campaign worlds to have different lighting parameters?
Yes.
Apart from those purely due to the day-night cycle in terms of color.
Yeah.
Like different atmospheric conditions.
Yep, absolutely. So we're working on, so this is what we're calling kind of our Highlands biome. So it's kind of like Northern Ireland.
Does that look correct?
Yeah, that was pretty correct.
Okay, there you go, Gibson.
So this is our sort of baseline. This is our first biome. So we started doing concept work for additional biomes, but they will absolutely have their own lighting and color palette associated with each. One of the other things that sort of complicates all of this is because we have seasons layered on top of all of this, how does the transition to winter affect the lighting for each biome? So we've got biome lighting, and then seasonal lighting, and then day and night lighting. So there's a lot of factors. So we want to keep it simple to begin with and just start with the very first biome, just isolate it to day and night. So one of the things that also controls us in Enviro, there are these weather presets in here, and they're I can have the sky go cloudy or foggy or much more foggy. It can start raining or snowing. I haven't messed with a whole lot of, or setting those up. There's some default ones that Enviro comes with. But those also have some global changes that will affect the overall lighting. So there's just lots of layers of things that will affect. So I didn't want it cycling through weather and season and day and night. It's just too many variables. So we're focusing on the first one and just setting up a clear sky initially to figure out, again, because like what I said earlier was Enviro is sort of set up so that to sort of simulate a very natural lighting, and I'm trying to push a little bit more color and stylization into it. So you'll see like this fog setting, this fog gradient right here. The normal fog settings under that I have control over are pretty much just about density and or intensity and where the fog starts and falls off. This actually gives me a little bit of control over some of the color. It doesn't exactly do what you expect it to. It's not changing the fog entirely to blue, but it'll push a little bit in there. And then I've got some scattering controls that will also affect, you can see in the background, how it's sort of blooming out and pushing a little bit more color back into the fog in the background as well. So all of these things kind of layer on top. And if you're dealing with season and day and night and weather, it's a lot of variables at once. So we're just staying focused at the moment, and then we'll start layering in other biomes and other stuff.
Some questions about, does day and night affect perception and UI nameplate distance? Right now, the day and night stuff doesn't have any actual gameplay hooks. We do have a hook so that we can start fiddling with knobs on the design side if we want to. Borland was nice enough to give us that. So we just haven't done anything with it yet. Everyone is talking about lighting, but I only see the new chat UI. Great work on lighting, by the way. Yep, there was a bunch of work done in this. Can you stop for a second?
Yep.
In this sprint to do, I'll just push the button over there, and now you can do /say space, and it puts you into say. So it should start to feel more like what you guys are expecting for a MMO chat window. That piece Akshay has been working on, that goes in conjunction with our EFT Interact that's going on Players. We call that our social services stuff, and that is coming online this milestone as well. Let's see what else we got in here. Night vision for certain races, yeah. So Todd and I were talking about that, and it's definitely on the table because everybody can remember the older games where it was pitch black and you just, I don't know, how did they do that in the old days, Melissa? Tell us a story.
What is that?
How did you give elves night vision and things like that?
I don't know. You tell us the story.
I don't know how it worked. I just know that they had a different
you tell us the story.
It was like a purplish background instead of a black background.
Yeah, probably a post process.
So they did some fancy stuff back in those days. What do we got? Is the new chat more readable? I think it is. Can we see some snow just for funds?
Let's see if it works. Because the last time I checked, it was missing effects. Somehow
there was also rain last time I saw in one of the demos.
Yes. Well, yeah. So last we checked, come on. Let's see, light snow. And let's see if that works.
No clue why Gorwald, why she's getting the frame she's getting, but that's her machine. I was getting 110 frames in Greybox Kingdom yesterday.
I might have to shut it down and restart it. Hold on a second.
Oh no.
Let's see if that picks it up.
Something just happened.
Well, it should, if I add those, it should give me, you guys keep talking.
Okay, we'll let Melissa fiddle and we'll keep talking.
I don't know if you read this one already. Will EK owners get to control day-night or season cycle in their EKs?
I'm sorry?
Will EK owners get to control day-night and season cycle in their EKs?
Maybe. Maybe not.
good answer.
Let me see if I can just.
It's funny because we always tend to. Can I have control of that? Can I have control of that? Can I have control of all of the things?
I want to be able to do
all of the things. It's like
all the things.
Yeah, well, let's just get kind of the things in, and then we can worry about what kind of knobs everyone can fiddle.
I don't think it wants to play nice right now. I probably broke something.
Okay.
Because we had to set some things up so that it wouldn't cycle through weather.
Okay.
The cycling through weather is actually controlled through designers have a timeline that they're able to set up the.
O'Neill came over just to give Melissa the evil eye from through the window.
He wasn't evil eyeing. He was smiling.
That is
no. Well, that's the judging.
He's judging her.
He's
judging.
Well, he's played with the weather stuff more than I have. He's welcome to come in and try and fiddle and get this to work.
No, that's fine. Let's show. So some people have asked to see the Stoneborn as well as the female half-giant. So could you put up a dogged face, and we will do the magical. It may get echoed into the chat box, so I'm not sure. But let's try it.
Here, I'm gonna let you run for a second.
Dogged's face is up.
Okay. Do the magic commands.
Oh, and we should talk about hunger too.
But what happened
there?
there?
We did an update where we sort of addressed some of that or how it's supposed to work, but I don't know if everybody knows or.
You can talk.
You can talk about it.
So at nighttime, in the worlds we've got diorama markers that we put all around the world. So those are used to spawn in resource nodes and trees and all kinds of other things. But we're also using empty ones to spawn in randomly hunger around the world. So you won't necessarily know where they'll spawn in the environment, and they only spawn in at nighttime, so it gives the nighttime a little bit more of a sense of urgency and intensity. These things will spawn in, and at the same time they will also affect all of the creatures at nighttime too. So all of the the wolves and spiders and things you see running around will change into their nighttime form and become much more dangerous. When you find these hunger crystals or shards in the world, they will have an area of effect that will basically turn off all of the resource nodes in that space. So you have to kill the hunger, essentially, in order to be able to harvest those resource nodes again.
And I demoed that at the last
you did?
last month.
Okay.
However, all we had was placeholders at the time.
Yeah.
And it didn't look as good. However, all of the final art has come in, the effects, it looks really good. The frozen on all of the nodes, you can now, when you hit it, it tells you. Looks like Rena came to say hi to. Everyone's popping by. Look at this. When Hal and I do this, no one comes to say hi. They're just like, yeah, get in the box.
Everybody loves Melissa.
I know.
There he is. Hey, man.
Okay, so here is our Stoneborn.
In all his stony
glory.
Rudy glory.
He, the big question was, did he have armor?
He does have armor.
He does have armor. So I think...
Everyone has armor.
We got all the armor in this patch too?
I believe so. Yeah, all the armor should be in.
Because the Wood Elves, we put some of the races out early. We decided to put the races out rather than hold on to them with no armor. We now have... This guy has armor, and I kind of like his armor.
Yeah, his armor's really cool.
He's pretty cool.
Who else did they want to see?
The female half-giant.
Okay, you want to type... I don't know what the code is.
The magic code?
It just archetype?
Boom.
She is my favorite.
She is a lot of people's new favorite. She's and you can't see her because all of the lighting is gone.
Yeah, she's real dark.
I love her.
It'll cycle through nighttime, through night pretty quick here. Let's see.
Yeah, you might as well. Do you have the thing still up?
No. It is no.
Okay. You can go ahead and you can demo what. Bam. All right. Let's hope the light comes around. Or you can go stand in that light.
Let me zoom out a little bit so we're not just staring at her backside. But she is beefy.
Let's see. That's a huge bitch. Snoo snoo. Yes, this is the.
I love her.
I know, she's so awesome.
So this is our female half giant, and segueing into.
Bump up the intensity a little bit. She just looks angry.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she's coming a little dark.
You timed somebody out, huh? Has a Conan Barbarian. Yeah, she is.
She has some smoothing issues on her belt. It's all kind of faceted. We'll fix that.
Look at that. Finding bugs in the stream. So, speaking of half giant, if you would go to her inventory, go to her racial discipline, go to page 2. One of the things everyone's going to notice is I mentioned.
I'm going to let you drive on this since you're okay.
Just click this button right there.
Well, I don't know where you're going.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
That's where I'm going.
No, I got you.
You got that?
Yeah.
Okay. You may be off camera now because you slid so far away.
You
kind of want to look at the eyes. The eyes. There you go.
Johnny 5.
So you guys will notice there are some new stats on the racial disciplines, and they are. Hers is right there. Boop. Caps. So the half giant. So what's funny is if you remember years ago when we put up all of the archetypes, we had little pips that told you how much strength and how much dex and how much this particular archetype had. And when we split into race class, we put everybody on the same 15-point scale, and we skewed everybody's attributes. So you'll notice now that, for example, the half giants get a strength cap increase, and they lose 100 points on their cap of dexterity. So as part of all of the races going in, those little dots that we came up with 3 years ago actually mean something now. It took us 3 years to get to the point, and it's funny because Todd and I were talking about it years ago. Like, yeah, this will come back to bite us in the ass someday, and sure enough, I am looking forward to all the comments that come out of this, because now we've just added a whole new vector for why to play a certain race over another. Maybe this one can get an extra 150 strength. I think that is the minnow. So I have all the racial disciplines down here. Did they get the huge strength cap? Well, they only got 50, but they got a huge constitution cap increase. But they lose out on spirit, which is regens. The Elkin gets a little bit across the board of everything. We already looked at the half giant. He gets the big giant strength cap. So also as part of this, all of the attribute baselines were set to 250. So 250 is now the new baseline, and you either skew upwards from 250 or you will skew downwards from 250. So just get used to all of your strength, dex, con, spirit, and int capping out at 250, and then you look at your racial adjustments to see where you can go from there. So if you are a guy who likes a very crit heavy build, you may not want to take a character that has a minus 100 to their dexterity cap, because their cap is going to be 150, and you'll notice that by our character sheet here, your critical hit chance is directly linked to your dexterity. The Stoneborn is good at, what does he get? I can't see around that. He loses 100 dex, but he gets 50 strength and 50 con. The elves, of course, are in dexterity land because that's what we do with elves. Elves have to be dexterous. Thank you, Legolas. We live in the shadow forever of all of the elves. The Fae gets 100 dex, which will probably fit very well with the assassins. The Nathari just gets a strength and an int. Half-elves get a minor one, and humans, well, they're humans. Humans are flatline across the board, but a lot of people like that variety for building a character. They also get, as always, they get all their old stuff. So I checked that in yesterday, in fact. So there's things that are still coming online. And can you show the Centaur race disc? Is the Centaur in there? You made all of them but the Centaur. Melissa didn't make the centaur racial.
You said 1 through 10. 1 through 10. You said 1 through 10. That's not my fault, man.
Yeah, everyone really likes the female half giant. She's
popped out too.
She benefits from that, which always happens in game development, which is the coolest things are the things that come online last. Right? So in the beginning when you're learning, I think we rebuilt the knight how many times? 5?
I wasn't listening. What?
You weren't listening? I said the coolest things always come online.
Outside the window. The coolest
This
things
is
come
so
online.
unfair. No one shows up to our streams like this. It's just,
well, you're in the art pit, you know.
It's artists.
Yes.
And Rena.
Mm-hmm. The first time I've seen Rena over here. We've done 2 streams since she's been here. This is the first time. Yeah.
You can't be upset about her visiting. She's very busy.
Anyways, so in game development, Melissa,
tell me, Blair.
The coolest things tend to come online last. Isn't that true?
That's true.
Right. We figured out all of the problems. I think we rebuilt, like I said, I think we rebuilt the knight 5 times before we finally...
We rebuilt everything 5 times.
And then we had to rebuild him again when we put in the base body. However, we've built her once, and she benefits from being built last. And she's, in fact, the last of the races that we signed up for launch, which is nice to have that checked off the list. What kind of questions we got?
Let's see. Asking to see the Ganeshan racial runestone, which I guess also wasn't in there.
Yeah, Melissa just made the first 10 for whatever reason.
I'm a failure.
Who directed Melissa to make the first 10?
I said keep making them until it stops.
No, you didn't. You said 1 through 10. Wait. I'm sorry. I popped up the CSR.
It's echoing in the chat box anyways.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh,
doesn't super matter.
I just generally don't like to show the console.
Yeah.
Give us dog its face for a second. I'll at least maintain the illusion of not showing the console.
I just generally like to show
that people don't
face,
know.
So, all right, you're good.
Well, he's sick today. I'm sure he will appreciate that.
So that's not... Is there an 11? Yeah, that's the centaur.
It definitely goes to 11.
How many races do we have, Blair?
12. How many classes? 11. Okay.
How many gods?
A bazillion. How many of them are named hero? 3.
It's a good name, okay?
It's a good name. Okay.
I must miss that.
So let's go ahead and look at the Ganeshan and the centaur racial so they can start debating on the forums who got what. What did the Ganeshan get? He got 100 dex, and he lost strength, and he lost constitution, so less health. And the centaur, which has the most ridiculous amount of stuff, because they get everything. Look at that. They get so many powers. I still need to make that horseshoe slot. That's still on my to-do list. And they got constitution, and they lost dex, int, and spirit, and their food regen. Because they're horses. They eat more.
Can they eat grass?
We don't have grass that you can pick. You want to give us grass nodes?
Sure.
Okay. If we have grass nodes, then maybe we can.
Grass nodes.
That's easy.
We're putting plants in, right?
Grass
We've got the plant stuff coming online.
Yeah.
Not this published, and someone will need to work on it. Can we zoom in? We can even do this. That was the whole point of that button, was to do. Yes. Okay, more questions. So if you have lots of art questions, this is a good time because we don't often have an artist here. I showed the Fae. The Fae gets a dex bonus. I'd love to see a Drider race in Crowfall post-launch. You know that's been my favorite the whole time. Mm-hmm. The half spider, half elf. Yeah, see?
I am all about that.
See, Jack's all in.
We have more races than any other MMO.
But we can have a half spider, you don't understand.
Post-launch, Jack, post-launch.
How many games can you play a Drider in? Of course, you can't use the word Drider because that's D&D. And we already did a video on that about the, was it the owlbear?
Yeah.
Where Gordon was explaining that we can't use the word owlbear. Remember that?
Yes.
I want a squirrel race with a beagle dog hybrid race.
Nope.
Okay, Melissa says nope.
Is that Todd?
No, that's Scree.
Oh.
Well, Todd is in the chat. Sassing people.
In 5.7, we can F to interact with other players. Yes, you can. You should consider using the horseshoes as the centaur equivalent of mounts. That is not off the table, Anthrage. Melissa still wants to give them a cart.
Yes!
See?
They need a cart! I mean, they're like a mount and a pack animal at the same time.
But if you can ride the cart, then now they're also...
That's centaurs.
Yes.
Just taking advantage of their skills.
Elkin armor. Yeah, Elkin armor went in this patch, didn't it? I seem to remember...
Yeah, it got... yes, it should be in. It got scanned and put in.
Elkins will have armor in 5.7 then.
I know someone asked to see the Stoneborn armor.
Is there a way for us to change the draw distance to improve performance?
Yes, we can bring that draw distance in. So that's one of the things we're playing with, bringing the fog in too to kind of cover some of that up.
Do they have a setting that they can do that?
I don't know if they have a setting to bring that draw distance in right now.
Okay. Maybe. Does the female half giant have her own sound effects and voices? So we didn't do voices for anybody.
We used to have.
Could you please dive into more numbers?
And then with sleepy Z's. O'Neill's so helpful and really constructive.
Can you show us wolf or elk or summer cat? I don't think they exist in this map. This is one of Melissa's test maps.
Yeah, I can go run around and see if I can find somebody.
But you guys will... No, I wouldn't worry too much about it. You guys will see them when we get to snap tests, which are hopefully soon. Spider elves. Yep, everyone wants spider elves. Human torso, snake lower body. The problem with snake lower body is it just never looks good.
Sounds like a good mob.
I think Smite has a character you can play that's the Medusa, and there's always problems with not having legs. Oh my goodness. Makes you slower, not faster. Oh my god. So many questions. Can we have racial weapons in 5.7? Racial, like the polearm, I've kind of shelved that for now. But we will have the capability for it. We always wanted to do the crazy thing for the high elves.
I think they meant the new racial designs. But the concept art only just went out for these, right? So
yeah. We're starting to work on them.
Well, I mean, the Elkin should get a quarterstaff at some point, and the Centaur should get the polearm.
What is your one pipe dream art-wise for the game, Melissa? The one big crazy thing you'd like to see happen, but probably won't happen.
Oh, well, probably the crazy thing that I would like. Bounce lighting.
Can you explain why?
I did earlier.
Oh, okay.
Makes everything look better. But we're going to do what we can without it. So we're just starting our lighting tweaks right now. So hopefully we can get a look that we like that doesn't kill performance and works with our very fully dynamic world.
You're getting a lot of hitching.
I know. That's just because I'm running Unity. I mean, I'm not actually running in.
Are you streaming in the background?
I don't think so.
She's got some bad websites up there.
Killed.
Is there any plans soon for light-based particle assets and EKs, such as torches on the insides of forts so they don't look so depressing?
Yes, we can. So we've got some lights baked into some of those environments. I think it would be cool if you could actually go in and turn those things on. So you come into like an abandoned keep or abandoned fort, and those are the things that once you rebuild the thing, that you actually have to go in and maybe even add a resource or add some wood or something to kind of trigger all of those things in the environment to purposefully turn the lights on. Did we talk about how fire and light was going to work in the update about the hunger? Did you guys talk about that?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Is that a thing we can talk about now?
I don't know. What does Todd think? He's just a snake body.
Todd's just too busy talking about snakes.
Maybe you should turn off your stream in the background. That might help you. You've got what other stuff do you have running? Are you sure? Photoshop.
What sort of impact do you anticipate lighting changes will have on performance?
Well, actually, that was the goal initially. Was we've had Enviro actually running for a little while, so it shouldn't really impact it much more. Was it in
5.6?
It was in 5.6.
Okay.
Yeah, so it shouldn't impact it much more, if any. Now it's just a matter of kind of going in and trying to get the look that we want. We do, like I said, have this added global reflection, and I was talking to Jason this morning about how we might control where the so it's basically this is its near and far clipping plane. So it's basically saying at this distance, and originally I think it was like at 2,000 or 1,000 or something, but it would look that far out to determine what that reflection or cube map should be. So we could bring that in quite a bit because all we really care about is the area directly around your character anyways for right now. So there are some things that we can do to lessen the impact of this thing updating. But we will get there.
Okay. Snake body, Gorgons. That's Todd. Human torso, caterpillar lower body.
Now you guys are just going crazy.
That's a little odd. Grubbles.
We're talking about making the Melissa show.
Can we see some of the attack animations? So I don't know if the champion got their base attack speed adjustments yet. Doggett and Cook were working on that. Oh, the slash looks. Yeah, you keep jerking left and right as you're swinging. Just a tad.
Hold still.
Yes, there you go. I don't think so. But the assassin, I played the assassin yesterday, and the assassin is way faster now. Which is now the assassin is the fastest basic attacks in the game. Get her Blood of the Giant size 2 and see how big she is. She's really big. I like to set that size slider to max because it annoys Melissa so much. However, I think there's a bug with it now when you grow a character, they get rooted in place. That bug has resurfaced and is hopefully we'll have it fixed before you guys see it in the snap test. A bowstring icon. Lots of icons we're still missing. Yes, there are. Yeah, so inventory icons. Yeah. There's clearly a whole slew of icons that need to get made for the inventory. We're gonna do the malicious show apparently. Oh, that's Todd. We're gonna put Melissa on camera once a month called the malicious show.
No.
Everybody else was on board.
So.
Show us armors. Were the missing Duber and Chat PM sounds fixed in 5.7? I know they've been doing a whole big pass on Dubers in general in 5.7. I don't know what the status is with the sound on the Dubers. We should probably ask Max on that, Jack.
What am I asking Max about?
The different quality sounds for the different quality levels of Duber. We had some specific sounds for Legendary and Epic, and then I think all the uncommon rares had the same sound, and then the Pores and the commons had the same sound as well. If you cycle the seasons, would there be visual changes?
Not yet. There will be. We're not playing with the seasons just yet.
Yeah, you're gonna start
next on the list.
But they're gonna start seeing a lot of snow around the Hunger Shard notes.
Yes, the hunger is effectively killing, these worlds. So when they appear, they sort of freeze the environment around them. And we've got a really cool decal that applies like around the entire hunger crystal, and it looks like the environment is frozen around it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, what's that over there? Is that a graveyard or is that? I don't think there's any hunger in this map.
Okay.
I think that's a graveyard.
Faye will be like a mini Yoda on steroids.
Can you talk a little bit about the the design choice to make knights, at least for right now, a little more blue instead of black?
Well, just to again push a little bit more color for the sake of stylization. I mean, we are a stylized game, as you can see from all of our characters. Enviro typically pushes more towards a natural sort of light setup, and having a bit more color just is a way to get some of that stylization back. And these things are being tweaked at the moment. Again, I just got like a fix this morning for some for the grass and that reflection probe that was acting a little bit wonky. So I need to go back in and actually tune a lot of this stuff. So that may be pretty intense for what we might want to do. We might want to have a little bit more color coming from the sky and then kind of have that fall off on the lighting a little bit. I like it in the fog and in the sky, and then maybe take the lighting color down some. Maybe we can take some of that out.
Any idea what causes the momentary stutter happens even at high FPS? Yeah, we call it hitching. And I think right now there is one on because of the new terrain that Jason was working out. The stitching was causing a little bit. And it's because Melissa keeps moving and going across parcel boundaries. She's causing it to happen.
Yes, it's my fault.
It's totally Melissa's fault. So be sure to blame her when you see it in game. But as we optimize all this stuff out, those things will go away. It's kind of amazing all the work that Jason has done on the terrain in the past 2 months. We really appreciate it. A lot of times I know you guys don't because you're just running on the ground in a lot of cases. You'll just turn off the grass and find the slider to turn off everything. Turn it all off.
Turn it off.
Turn it all off. And yeah. Someone should ask Blair what he thinks of The Last Jedi. Clearly!
You were so far behind you wouldn't get there.
Who asked that?
Tark?
Tark.
Listen.
Worst movie ever.
How do they know?
Because it's terrible.
That's
How does everybody not know?
He has yelled at me about The Last Jedi on stream before. That's why they know.
Oh.
It is...
I actually haven't seen it yet.
Don't tell Blair when you see it.
I need to.
Mm-hmm.
You like it, Jack? I like
it. There's something wrong with you.
You're probably not wrong.
Stay on topic. Armors. Okay. They want to see. Let's show the Stoneborn back again. Can we go back to Stoneborn and we will show.
You have dog in space.
Let's go back to Stoneborn, and we can show. Give me some Stoneborn.
Good.
How do you get the? Do you need more than just the plate?
Yeah. If I give him the, I was seeing which set that he had. It was the male. Yeah. You know what I really like, as much as The Last Jedi, is laptop keyboards.
I like you, Blair.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Melissa can now show you, get in a nice bright spot and show you what a Stoneborn looks like. Oh, you got some spiders.
Creatures. Run away.
Run away!
Right, those are looking so dark. That's weird. Squirrel.
Okay, so this is the Stoneborn. This is one of our final races. And Melissa's going to show you their mail and plate. I like how you guys went with one shoulder pad for this guy.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
We'll just keep it at that. She can always wonder. This is his mail set? Wait.
This is his plate set.
Oh, this is the plate set. Yeah, I was going to say.
Let's see. Let's move this to...
Looks like Thanos. Oh my, what happened there?
There we go. We need to adjust the way our camera zooms in.
Yeah, it used to be on some type of
so we can actually see your full character and zoom in without it going over your head.
Yeah.
Because I can't get any closer than that.
It became herky-jerky when somebody made an update to something.
It didn't give you a helm. That's weird.
Yeah, the basic set doesn't have it.
Well, this is the basic set.
Yeah, it is the basic set.
The plate is the basic set?
Yeah, that's the basic set. The add items don't give you the advanced stuff.
Oh.
Yes. That shoulder pad is a big floppy, is what Todd said.
No shoulder pads, sun's out, guns out.
Yeah, it is flopping a little bit. And by a little bit.
It's got a little movement.
I'm going to say
you're going to trigger dog it.
It's got some jiggle physics going on there.
Yeah, it does.
Doesn't it?
Reminds me of Fortnite.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
On jiggle physics?
Yes.
The beard over the armor. Yeah, the beard is over the armor.
The beard is essential. He does not cover up his beard, man.
Now, what on him will be customizable? Skin color, the runes on him, the beard?
Yeah, so we were actually, Dave has been concepting his heads and beards and hairstyles and customization stuff right now.
Okay.
But we're talking about, so the rest of the characters, you can change their skin tint. So we could do that and just give them different tintable stone types, but it would be cool if we could actually change the baseline texture so he looks like he's made out of marble or granite or limestone or just different kinds of stone rather than just a tint. But we'll be able to tint the beards as well. I mean, we'll probably give him some kind of color options that feel more natural, maybe some greens or kind of like mossy looking stone and beard options.
There's a lot of comments on the floppy shoulder pad. He's going to give himself a concussion.
He's made of stone, so...
Well, yeah, I guess him getting hit in the face with his...
He's fine. Everything's fine.
It's fine? Everything's fine?
Everything's
fine.
Perfect.
Do you have a flames overlay you can put on around? This is fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Probably a little bit like a wet cloth.
Yeah, he looks really good.
Yeah. He came out really clean. He looks really nice. His armor looks really good.
I like the Stoneborn.
Yeah, I do too. And he'll have hair choices too.
It's amazing the differences. Like I was looking at some of the old Shadowbane screenshots, and you can always have Todd and chat talk about what the old dwarf looked like in Shadowbane. Yeah. He was just a shrunk down dude with a ridiculous beard compared to today. And it is.
Well, I think they just took a human character and squished him, didn't they?
Yeah, they just squished him.
They just scaled him down.
Yeah.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Give him a bra for shoulder pad. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about the floppiness all day.
Okay, we'll fix it. We don't talk about it anymore.
All right, we don't need to talk about the flopping anymore. She gets the idea.
You guys have 3 minutes.
Okay. They gave the shoulder pad the movement of the cloak. Cloaks!
Ooh,
we haven't talked about those in a while.
There's still some stuff to work out with cloaks.
Yeah, that's part of the human racial kit. You'll notice they don't get any stat adjustments, but they do get cloaks as their additional slot. Did we give it to the half-elves as well?
Half-elves have cloaks, yes. Yep.
That was a test.
Mm-hmm.
Get that shoulder pad seen by Elkin and Faye. So the Faye armor should be out there. You guys should have seen that. The Elkin armor we knew.
Yeah, the Faye armor's been out.
I'll let you guys wait till we go on Snap Test to see that. Don't worry, Melissa will fix the shoulder pad and can present it in the next month of the Melissa show, according to Todd.
We'll just put Doggett in a wig next time.
Mm-hmm. Cloaks in 5.7. No, cloaks are not in 5.7. I was just giving Melissa shit because we need to go back in there, and there was some art challenges to making them look good. And
if we want to have them be interchangeable, because that's not the way they were designed. Originally, they were designed as part of the torso. If we make them a piece of equipment and they have to interchange with all the other pieces of equipment, there's some challenges. There's some clipping. They just weren't designed that way. So
yeah, if you remember, the only one who had the snap-on cloak was the knight.
Yeah.
Right. The ranger had, talking about the old archetype days here, the ranger had this big shoulder pad that was built into that kind of half cloak. And yeah, they need to figure out what they want to do there. New hairstyles. You guys are working on those, right?
We are.
All the concept for the hairstyles.
Yeah.
And okay, it has degenerated into a crossover of the Doggett show and the Melissa show, which is something that you don't want to see because that's just it would just suck all the soul out of the room. Just... let's see. Okay, any final art questions? You have 30 seconds to come up with good art questions while we have Melissa as she bounces crazily over.
Stoneborns are bouncy.
You can start singing the song to Gummy Bears.
I don't know the Gummy Bears song, but you can sing it.
I can't remember it. It just popped in. Half-elf vessel parts are backwards, human head, and elven breast. Will that be addressed? I don't know.
What was it?
I think that the reason it was done that way was because of the stats on there, and Hallish wanted the particular stat combination for the half-elves. And I do not see a good art question.
You know they just care about design.
I know. They just want new toys.
How hard would it be to animate a driver?
It would be expensive. I don't know, hard.
What's his
really
dodge roll?
Hard.
Do a dodge roll for him. Okay?
Oops.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
K. Press K. There you go.
Hold on. Where is his dodge?
All the way to the right.
This guy right here.
The blue one?
This one?
There you go.
I can't see.
Nope. Above his block.
Where's his block?
Go straight. See how there's lines right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's intended to show you that it can go there. We clearly need to do a better job on that.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what it looks like.
It does still confuse me a little bit.
You can just right click. Yes, he got a barrel roll. In fact, I think the name of the power is called barrel roll. So you can just barrel roll the knight away. And I specifically asked for a barrel roll for that for you can all figure out why. Final question on res. Did the art team add in customable panels in the designs to be impacted by the enchanting choices? I am not sure what that is. Panels. Was that for houses?
Enchanting choices.
I'm confused by that question.
Diagonal roll.
That's the half giant roll? No, it's not quite the same roll. They did a new one. The half giant does he does like a forward kind of divey one. This is just more of a. All right, here's the final art question, and then we can close it out. Is there texture on the bottom of those shoes?
Who's that from?
That is from Bear Beware.
That is a good observation.
There?
That is something that we need. That there's actually quite a few pieces of armor that need the bottoms of their shoes to have at least something on them because you just see them so frequently. And I think the champion has the same problem where it's just the bottom of his feet are all specular and bright and shiny. Come on, zoom out.
You can also,
there he goes.
yeah, you go.
See, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Good observation.
Look at that.
Mr. Bear.
Mr. Bear Beware, thank you for that. And what's that?
Will they make footprints so you can tell what you're after?
At some point, they should also do a little dust clickup as well.
Anchorage said that explains the fall damage.
Yes.
Everybody's slipping on
That's why, because their shoes are slippery. Okay, well, we're going to close out on that. Good question. I'm sure the art team
Good observation.
We'll figure it out.
We'll do a bottom of the shoe pass.
We should do an update on that.
A polished pass for the bottoms of shoes.
No, we could do a Tuesday update, Jack. What do you think?
Right up on the bottoms of shoes.
We're like, okay, we went through them, and it's at that point we're pretty much live
it's
because
the little
everything
things.
else is
Everything else is
You're right. Everything else is fixed. All right. Thanks everybody for coming out for the live stream. Show you new stuff. Thank you, Melissa, for being here. We will see you again in 2-ish weeks for the July Q&A. Can you believe it's July?
No.
Is it 3 weeks? Do we have a buffer in there? But I do know the 4th of July is coming up. Look at that. I can't believe it's already the middle of the year. Yes. So anyways, thanks for coming out, and we will see you in the future.
Thanks, everybody.
See you in 5-7.